What are we talking about? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Can't wait! Let's go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sideline to Sideline. I am the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and to my right, I have the Prince of Production for Sports Empire Network, the kid Kizzy Gamer himself, Kyle Edwards. How you feeling?
I'm good. It's another week of NFL football. I mean, look, the Madden League game didn't go as well, but putting that past me, so we're in it. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
My question would be this, and Godfrey, you can tell me if this is accurate, because I feel it. You might not feel it. I feel it. I feel like Kyle's excitement starting the show is like the Patriots season, right? It was like, oh, we're ready. And then every week it's kind of, well, I'm here. I'm here now.
Nah, I mean, look, it has been a rough season, but I'm always happy to be on here with you guys. Even if the team's bad, I still want to talk about them.
I'm kidding.
I know.
We got a lot to get into, but before that, I got to introduce my brother from another mother, the THEE GODFREY, taking it deep with D Godfrey. How you feeling, D?
I'm good. And just to let everybody know, vanilla ice cream can be exciting. It can be.
Why?
It's just sometimes the simplicity is good,
That's true.
We got a lot to talk about. First things first, trade deadline was just Tuesday. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about the moves that were made.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what move made the most sense to you and why was it Chase Young?
I mean, look, obviously Chase Young was the biggest acquisition, for the 49ers. Yeah, you got Bosa, but now you're putting Young on the other side. So that should free up Bosa for Young. It should be maybe the first time in a while that he doesn't have to worry about getting double teamed. For the 49ers, I still think the issues that they have is probably on the other side of the ball. And if Brock Purdy continues to throw interceptions, they're still going to lose some games maybe that they shouldn't. But them putting a guy to go with Bosa, I was shocked that Washington even, made that move. Then the Montez Sweat part as well. But yeah, I think Chase Young had to be the most impactful move of the deadline.
I mean, Bosa and Chase Young weren't on an island, meaning like there was good parts on their defensive line they play next to as well, right? I mean, you got Hargrave, Montez Sweat, Payne.
Armstead.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't like they're on an island over there. I don't know, man. I think they're both great players. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I mean, when people talk about Chase Young, they're acting like he didn't play next to some good players. You know what I mean? They got a third, and
you're talking about in Washington. They had Jonathan Allen.
Yeah,
had Montez Sweat. So
both of them.
The thing that was the most confusing to me was what the difference is between John Lynch and Brian Poles. Brian Poles, the Bears general manager.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Poles traded probably pick 35 for Montez Sweat. John Lynch traded probably pick 75, 77 for Chase Young. How inept are the Bears? Like, I don't understand why. In the trade for Montez Sweat, I'm not saying it's not a good one. It isn't a good one. It's a terrible one, if I'm being honest with you. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and you'll have the opportunity to sign him. You're not winning anything this year, so why give up pick 35?
You can franchise tag him, if you want.
Yes. Are you really trying to franchise tag him with not having any money invested in the quarterback position?
Yeah, if you're the Bears, you need every pick you can. Like, they should be bringing on picks, not necessarily giving them away.
If I'm a Bears fan, that sucks, though, because that tells me Matt Eberflus ain't going anywhere.
I don't know if that tells me that. It tells me Ryan Poles is trying to save his job and that he can fire Eberflus and get away from it. That's what it tells me. What's up, cool? My man, Eagles Elite in the chat.
Yeah,
But
what's up, cool?
I don't understand like what they're thinking. Like, why give up pick 35?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. If you overpay, I think you overpay for a lineman. But I mean, when you're looking at it in comparison to Chase Young, like how did they get him for a third, and they got him for a second? You know what I mean? I don't know.
We know who the rich got richer, right? We know who won the trade deadline. The Eagles won it with Kevin Byard. The Commanders won it. The 49ers won it with Chase Young. Who lost the trade deadline? Excuse me.
I mean, I guess there was a couple of teams I was surprised that they didn't do anything. But I mean, in terms of teams that made a move, I don't know. There's something about the Josh Dobbs in Minnesota. I don't know about that one. I thought there was an opportunity for Minnesota because Kirk Cousins being out and them actually playing better the past couple of weeks to possibly bring in a backup who would now become the starter and still kind of make themselves competitive. I just don't think Josh Dobbs is that guy. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they figure out something, he plays a little better and they can stay afloat, but that almost seems like they're giving up on the progress they just made because Kirk Cousins got hurt.
I disagree with you.
Really? I mean, you like the Dobbs move, or do you think?
I love the Dobbs move. Not like love. It might be my third favorite move of the whole trade deadline.
Okay.
Let me explain why. Do you think Josh Dobbs was playing terrible football in Arizona?
I think he was playing above average.
Okay. So
I guess better than expectations.
What does Minnesota not want to do? Minnesota doesn't want to tank. They want to keep their guys engaged. But they also probably don't want to bring back Kirk. So why bring in a quarterback that has any type of competition with next year's starter, what they're going to plan on doing? You bring a guy in that keeps staying competitive. Like, who knows? Josh Dobbs can bring them on a run. They're a couple games out of the division. They could be right there. So by bringing in Josh Dobbs, you keep the team competitive. You invest no draft capital in a team that I think they need to be rebuilding, which they are. You bring no financial impact. And you're not starting Jaron Hall. I mean, you are this week. But I don't dislike that. There's no good quarterback that's going to come in, learn that playbook, and turn that team around. Josh Dobbs has been playing. What are you going to bring? Carson Wentz off the street? Like, who are you bringing in there? Like, what would be your acquisition?
I like the move. I like where you're going with this. Plus, if one thing you've learned about Josh Dobbs over the past couple of years is he's had to conform to multiple playbooks. I think he's shown himself to be coachable. I think if you look at what he had to play with out in Arizona, I think he's going to have a lot more talent around him than he did at the receiver position in Arizona. He's going to have a super talented tight end in T.J. Hockenson. And by the way, if T.J. Hockenson's on your fantasy team, he's going to even get more production because Josh Dobbs loves throwing to the tight end. And I think, it gives them some mobility at the position. And, Justin Jefferson comes back. And I think it's going to give their running back some space because you're going to have to respect his ability to scramble. I think it's one of the better moves that I agree with Gene that was made. And I think it was a savvy move because in the short term, what can you really do? And that was probably the right answer, in my opinion, at quarterback for them.
So, I mean, would your thoughts change if, I guess, Hall played this week and looked serviceable?
No, because they gave up, a 6th, 7th round pick? Is it a 6th round pick swap or 7th round? It's nothing. They gave nothing up.
Yeah, I mean, the pick stuff, I didn't really worry about that. I guess when I was thinking about it, like Dobbs never entered my mind, which I guess the way you explained it, I probably should have thought of him. But I don't know. I guess because now with Arizona moving him means they're expecting Kyler to come back, even though I'm like, what's the point in that?
Apparently, I accidentally called that on Cheap Seats, that Josh Dobbs, the Minnesota thing. He said she got a clip of it. I called it. I mean, I know. I remember we brought up his name, but yeah, when she called it out, I couldn't remember
how we like brought his name to. Well, I mean, if you call that, then, shout out to you.
Accidentally. I wasn't going in the show with that on my mind.
Right.
And, name to look out for. K1's off the IR, and they're going to want to move off Josh Dobbs. They can get some value for him. They got to pick for him. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Second part of the trade deadline. Here's a team. I had 2 teams I think that lost. 3, if you want to be honest. But I'll go 2. Dallas and Detroit. Both of them. Let's start with Detroit. Detroit went out and got Donovan Peoples-Jones. What they needed was a safety to replace Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who's out for the year. Or what they needed was an edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, because Aiden's been getting doubled all year and they're getting no production from the other side. What they didn't need was a wide receiver. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Josh Reynolds has been playing very good for them. And then if you add on to it, you have Khalif Raymond and a first-round draft pick that you invested in last year in Jamison Williams. Why are you taking the ball out of his hand?
I don't know if they're happy with Jamison Williams and his development.
They're not.
Yeah, that has to be the message there. They're not happy with him, so they went and got DPJ.
It might be a motivational trade. And yeah, I don't think Donovan Peoples-Jones is a bad receiver. I think he could play. I mean, I think he'll get some looks in that offense. I mean, Jamison Williams, I just think he hasn't had enough field time because of suspensions and injury, and just it's unfortunate. The talent's there, but it
reminds me a lot of the way they treated DeAndre Swift. Like, he's not one of Dan Campbell's guys. He's not their guy. He's not a guy that fits into that mold. I think Jamison Williams is going to be on their team next year, and I think he'll end up breaking. I'll liken the Jamison Williams situation like I likened him moving from Ohio State to Alabama. Not a lot of people know that he started his college career in Ohio State and in the transfer portal transferred to Alabama and blew up. Some coaches believe in players, other coaches don't. It seems to me like Dan Campbell does not have a lot of faith in Jamison Williams, and I think one man's trash can be another man's jewelry.
Mm-hmm. And plus, with Washington sending out Young and Montez Sweat, and now looking back on it, you might ask yourself, did Detroit miss an opportunity? What if they had gotten Sweat over Chicago and paired him with Hutchinson?
I would have called them up and said, wait, Chase Young for 77? The 49ers are better than us. Give me Chase Young for 75. Why would you not?
Yeah, I'm saying, if you know that Washington made them available, you should have gotten at least one of them.
Wait, San Fran's giving you your third? Our third's going to be better?
Yeah.
Do you think it's possibly that was a last-minute decision to make that move and
No, I think they were shopping him, and I think that they got a great deal for Sweat, and they tried getting the same thing for Chase Young. The funny thing is, Ryan Poles went out and said, not Ryan Poles, but the reports out of Chicago went out and said that they liked Chase Young more than Montez Sweat. Then why do you make that move? It's so ridiculous. I'm so flabbergasted at what happened at the trade deadline. And then the other team I wanted to bring up was the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, we got to talk about the huge move they made on trade deadline day. 5-3 team or 6-2 team. Wait, they have 3 losses, 2 losses. 6-2 team.
I think they're 5-3.
5-3 team sitting there with an opportunity to pounce.
Mm-hmm.
One game, a couple games behind the Philadelphia Eagles, and all of a sudden you make no moves. They're 5-2. They're one game behind the Eagles. You make no moves. Philadelphia went out and got Kevin Byard. We're one game ahead and we went out of safety. You talk about a team that lost their starting all-pro cornerback. Didn't replace him.
They must feel comfortable with what they have going forward. Because, I mean, Douglas went at the trade deadline. Cowboys fans could ask, could we have gotten him? I don't know. I feel like there's probably cornerbacks out there that if they really wanted to get one, probably could have. Well, you know how Jerry is. He always thinks his team's good enough, apparently.
He said, I like my guys. That was his direct quote.
Yeah.
I like this team. And I like that as an Eagles fan, I like that he stayed stagnant. I'm all about it. I think we were talking about it on the Eagles show. Cowboys can't run the ball as effectively as they did. Tony Pollard is a good running back, but I'm a firm believer in he is a change of pace running back, and he can be explosive with less touches. You see him taking breaks a lot on the sideline. And a lot of beat reporters in the Dallas area have been talking about how they're trying to work Rico Dowdle into the offense more. And they don't believe that Tony Pollard could be a feature back. I don't believe he is either. It's not lack of skill, right? He's explosive. I think he's one of those guys. If he has a few less touches, he's more effective when he touches the ball.
I don't disagree with you.
So.
Can we talk about my favorite part?
What's that?
You want to add something to trade deadline? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
My favorite part of the whole week. Into the night, Tuesday into Wednesday. My favorite part of the whole week.
Oh.
Josh McDaniels is gone.
Yep.
I was so happy for Raider Nation. Raider fans, rejoice. I want to ask you guys a question. Do you know what Josh Daniels' record as a head coach is after the 6-0 cheating scandal he got caught in Denver, the mini Spygate that happened in Denver when they were 6-0? Do you know what his record is as a professional head coach?
It's got to be something like 5-20 or something. Stupid.
It's more games than that. I'll give you the total games. That he's had total 52 games. Delete those 6 that he had when they were 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
So he has 46 games. 46 games as a head coach.
I mean, I know he's below 500. That's a safe bet there.
Okay.
I'm going to go 15 and 31.
Oh, God.
That would have been my guess, yeah.
14 and 32.
Damn close.
That was very close. Great job. Josh McDaniels, you've seen it after the game, right? After the game on Monday Night Football, you've seen exactly what happened. Devontae Adams, I don't know what to say, man. I'm wide open.
He tried to get back.
Josh Jacobs, not my job. The team hates him. And you know the comment that was made immediately after he left? They immediately made a change to starting quarterback. When asked why the Raiders were making a change to starting quarterback, did you hear the quote? We're starting the best quarterback.
Best quarterback, yeah.
Access denied.
That was Josh McDaniels trying to get into the building. I mean, listen, that's the guy I felt was on the hot seat. I mean, but the problem, listen, it's temporary relief for the Raiders. You're it's not the call. Mark Davis, who's advising him on his haircuts, on his personnel decisions? Who? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, he should have never had a second job. Like, never. And if I am advising Mark Davis, even if it would cost me draft picks, I would be tampering my ass off with Eric Bieniemy. Eric, this is yours next season.
100%. I just need to figure out, because they need to hire a GM first. You can't hire a head coach before you hire a GM. They have to be married to each other. I need to figure out what happened. I mean, this day, January 30th, 2022, a day that will live in infamy for Raiders Nation. The day they made the decision to hire Mark Ziegler and then eventually hire Josh McDaniels and letting go Rich Bisaccio and Mike Mayock. Can I ask you guys a question real quick? And I don't mean to be like rude. Do you think that the Raiders team right now or the team they had the end of last year is better or worse than the team that took Cincinnati to the brink of elimination in Cincinnati, lost by 7 and ended the game in the red zone at the 7-yard line? You think that team's better or worse?
From a talent perspective?
Yes, from a talent perspective.
I think they're worse. I mean, you got to go. I mean, they got better people at receiver overall, but they're worse at quarterback. I mean, you know, Derek Carr wasn't a world beater, but I mean,
say the end of last year when they had Derek Carr.
And the last year, are they worse than? Yeah, I mean, I think they're worse off. Yeah.
I think they're a better team with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams last year than they were the year prior. The year prior, they dealt with John Gruden, Henry Ruggs, and they didn't have Devontae Adams, and they still made the playoffs and pushed Cincinnati to the brink of elimination. They add Devontae Adams. People were picking the Raiders to go to the damn Super Bowl.
Yeah.
People, okay.
That's
Yeah.
Max
Who
Crosby.
was doing that?
Yeah,
I want to know what that analyst gets his card pulled forever. No, you can't pick the Raiders. The Raiders barely make the playoffs, man. They needed Brandon Staley to blow it to get in that
After
year.
they lost to Cincinnati by 7 and they added Devontae Adams, expectations couldn't have been higher. Godfrey?
Yeah, but Super Bowl high, like
There were people projecting that, man.
wild.
I'm not saying they were right or wrong. Obviously, they were wrong, but there were people projecting that. Now he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
They were in Mexico licking toads' butts or something like that, getting high off it. Because I don't. I mean, listen. The problem there is there's no structural cohesion in the whole organization. They're a bad organization. You trade for Devontae Adams because he wanted to play with his college quarterback. You get rid of his college quarterback. Oh, that's not going to piss him off. Then you bring in Jimmy G. Not good. All right. And then you're throwing Aiden O'Connell out there. You know, he's a competitor. And say what you want about Devontae Adams, but that dude plays hurt too. I've never seen him take, that dude is a warrior. And so you have guys like him on the field that can play. And you got guys like Max Crosby, and you got a coach that's handicapping you. The problem with Josh McDaniels is he believes his own bullshit. You can't go into a place and say it's my way or the highway. And I'll give you examples. Hunter Renfrow disappeared. Did he disappear because he couldn't play anymore? No. Josh McDaniels didn't like him. He brought in Jacoby Myers. He liked him better because he knows him, right? There was a connection there, I guess, between him and Jimmy G. And I think Jacoby Myers is a good player. But, Hunter Renfrow's looking for a trade. That's a guy I wish the Eagles would have went over low key. I mean, I think he's a good slot receiver. But, good fourth receiver on the team. But that's just one example. So he minimized certain guys on the team that were good guys. And you can't throw it down like that if you don't have a resume of success. Hey, this has worked for me. This is how we're going to do it. No, dog. You got to make me a believer. And so they're a bad organization for bringing him in. And then they're letting him run buck wild. Like he has control of the whole thing. Like, where are you, Mark Davis? Are you searching for a new haircut or a new salon? Like, I mean, maybe you got to search worldwide to fix that bowl cut. But I'm just saying, like, Adam Schefter, and I've seen people say, who's advising Mark Davis? Because it started getting bad in Oakland when they were there, when Al Davis started getting older, and he wasn't the same guy, right? And that's not a knock on him. He's just I remember being at the draft, and the beginning of the end for the Raiders was I was at the draft when they took Darius Hayward-Bay at the I was there, and the Raiders fans were like, oh, and we were laughing. My friends, a Vikings fan, we were like, typical Raiders, speed kills, And so they took him, and they haven't recovered.
Bad joke.
Yeah. And that is a bad joke, right? But they haven't really recovered. And they just haven't really got a philosophy or an identity as an organization. They're just lost, and they think it's the 80s and 90s still. And Just Win, baby, couldn't be farther from that organization. Just couldn't be.
Yeah.
Accurate. Well, we do got a lot of games to get into this week. We got a full slate. There's some really marquee matchups. What's popping, Gittrell? How you feeling? Well, we got to start off with Thursday Night Football, which is an actual dud. And listen, we do pregame the Thursday night game every single week. The Tennessee Titans, Godfrey's pick to win the AFC South. Wondering if he wants to change it yet.
Well, I mean, I didn't know.
Going at Pittsburgh to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, by the way, Deontay Johnson needs to just shut his mouth in the press conference. Like, you can't just go in there and be like, well, we lost the game because of the refs. That's why. A friggin' false start penalty, offsides penalty on a field goal was the reason they lost the game.
How about that bad drop he had in the game? How about that, Mr. Dropsy, Deontay Johnson? He had a really bad drop in that game. So, I mean, yeah, you can't blame the refs.
You can in some games. If I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan, I'm blaming the refs for losing to the Cleveland Browns. If I'm a Miami Dolphins again, I'm blaming the refs for losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. You can blame the refs in some games. If I'm a Los Angeles Rams fan, the funny thing is this, right? The Los Angeles Rams, Pittsburgh has nothing to say about the officials. They should have nothing to say about the officials because it was just a week after they got the worst, ridiculous blown call I've ever seen in my life on that Kenny Pickett quarterback sneak that they couldn't challenge. They got a gift of a win. I'm not saying they would have lost the game, but the Rams deserved that football back. Down 7. with an opportunity to win the game. No? You guys watch that quarterback sneak?
Yeah, I agree.
So let's talk about the game tonight. Tennessee at Pittsburgh. Before we do that, Godfrey is now week 9. I will give you one more opportunity to believe in the Prince, to believe in Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and denounce the Tennessee Titans from winning the AFC South.
Well, how could I not? They're selling off the whole farm.
Exactly. I'm giving you the opportunity.
I mean, there's some life blown back into him. Will Levis came riding in on that horse last week. 4 touchdowns. He's like, He said, take that, ex-girlfriend. But, yeah, no, the Jaguars are the leader of class in that division now. I mean, their defense is really rounding out for them. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to actually, after the bye, probably he's on the upward trajectory of having good games at quarterback. Yeah, you got to go with the Jaguars at this point. I mean, and the Titans they're not in win now mode. I mean, you're getting rid of key pieces there, right? So surprised they kept a hold of Derrick Henry, but hey, maybe he didn't want to get traded, and they were like, the word is that I read is that the owner nixed and vetoed that trade for Derrick Henry. How true that is, I don't know. But
well, they're trying to trade everything off. So who do you like tonight, Tennessee or Pittsburgh, and why? Because I don't want to spend too much time talking about this football game when we got 4 monsters on Sunday. I'm talking about monster football games Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I think it's a good short story here for Will Levis, but on the road, there is no Minkah Fitzpatrick, which does make a difference, but they're on the road in Pittsburgh on a short week. Second start for a rookie quarterback. I'm going to have to go with Pittsburgh on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely tough on Levis. It was easy to come in Tennessee and play well, but now you got to go to Heinz Field or whatever they call it now. That's just a different animal. I think I'd go with Pittsburgh as well.
I am going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is one of my favorite picks of the week. I think, listen, no Minkah scares me a little bit, right? I want Minkah Fitzpatrick to be in there. But I think that Steelers defense is too much, and I think that you've seen a lot of fool's gold with Will Levis. Will Levis, you're talking about a guy that couldn't beat out Sean Clifford at Penn State. You're talking about a guy that was known for poor decision-making in college. He came in one start, looked good versus Atlanta. I'm good. Give me the Steelers coming off that emotional loss at home. They didn't have to travel anywhere. They get to play another game at home. They get to right that wrong. Mike Tomlin's a great football coach. I think they'll be more prepared. I think that defense will turn over Levis multiple times. I like the Steelers in a very ugly football game. Give me the Steelers tonight, 21-12, something of that nature. Let's get into Sunday, Todd. Let's get into this Sunday docket.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't start anywhere else but 9:30 in the morning. You got kegs, eggs, and football. You got the game of the week, probably the game of the week. And any other week, this is the best game of the week. And it's being played in Germany. Frankfurt, Germany. $203 is the cheapest ticket in the house. It's the second most expensive, cheapest ticket in the house in the NFL, and we know where the most expensive, cheapest ticket is. That's Lincoln Financial Field, the resident of the best fans in football. But we'll start with Frankfurt, Germany, the Miami Dolphins, the Kansas City Chiefs. Who you like in this one, Kyle, and why?
I got to go Dolphins on this one. I just wonder if Kansas City's offense would be able to score enough to keep up with the Dolphins. I just think with Waddle and Hill, Tua being able to get the ball out of his hands quickly, I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on Kansas City to keep up with them scoring. And I just don't trust Kansas City's offense to be able to do that right now. So I got to go with the Dolphins.
Don't be calling the Eagles fans the most obnoxious fans in football. The Browns fans are Eagles fans light, if you want to be honest with you. They're the most comparable fans. They're like the light version, right? Like they're like the beta. They're like the tester version of the Eagles fans. So I don't want to hear
the
that.
reason why they take your beer bottle from you and take the cap off. Because they started throwing it on the field. There was remember that years ago? They started throwing beer bottles on the field. That's because of the Browns fans. Thanks, Browns fans.
That's correct. That is correct. Godfrey, tell me Who wins? Kyle's on the Miami Dolphins.
It's a tough one, man. I don't think it's. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it sucks that the NFL stole this from the Miami and Chiefs fans, but it's cool that it's on a neutral site. But I've been to international games; they're fun. But come on, NFL, 9:30 a.m. You guys are just getting greedy. So I think coming off of a loss, do I see them losing 2 in a row? I mean, Patrick Mahomes was sick last week. That's still not an excuse. I think that Steve Spagnuolo is a creative enough defensive coordinator where he could get Tua off his spot. Doesn't mean that they're not going to score. I think they could force some turnovers. I think Kansas City wins a close one here. I think they edge them out. And, I'm going to go KC.
It doesn't really matter where we play at. I mean, obviously, it would have been great to play in KC, but it doesn't really matter where we play. You feel me? They're going to get this work wherever, though. Tyreek Hill's quote to the Kansas City Chiefs this week. I'm going to tell you something right now. I love Kansas City in this one. I think Kansas City wins this football game, and I think they win it mighty comfortable. Let's go through the Miami Dolphins wins. How many wins do New England Patriots have, Kyle?
2.
How many wins do Carolina Panthers have?
1.
Holding it up for you guys. How about the New York Giants?
2. Yeah, they have not beaten anybody.
They don't beat nobody good. They have 7 total wins. For all the wins, all 6 wins they have, the teams have 7 total wins. They don't beat good football teams. They're not going to beat one this week. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs. Give me Patrick Mahomes off a rough week. Give me Andy Reid. I think they were looking past Denver. Mahomes was sick. They're going to go over to Germany, and you're going to see Mahomes ball out. You'll see Mahomes to Kelsey all across the field. Yeah, Tyreek's going to get his. Cheetah's going to do him. It won't be enough. 38-24, Kansas City. Let's get into the rest of the docket. There's a lot of games we're going to skip this week, right? Mm-hmm. Minnesota, Atlanta is basically a toilet bowl this week. Minnesota starting Jaron Hall. Finally, Atlanta made the
Heineke?
I love that, bro. Let's take a second there. Let's say a second there. Finally, it's like almost like The Rock, right? Finally, the Falcons have listened to Gene. Desmond, get rid of her. He's not it. Taylor Heineke came in last week, almost brought them back to beat that Titans team. I love it. Give me the Falcons this week, but I'm not going to get too far into this. You want to give a quick pick here?
Yeah, it's in Atlanta. I'll take the Falcons.
Boom.
Same.
All right.
Heineke upgrades that offense, and also if you have fantasy players on that offense, he also upgrades them as well. So, I mean, it's the truth. Tyler Heineke will be able to make more reads, be able to spread the ball around more. I mean, I watched it at the end of that game. They hung tough in that game. But here's one thing to watch, though, and people is probably underreported. That run defense in Atlanta will not be the same without Grady Jarrett, which I believe is out for the year. That's a big piece to the run defense. So we'll see what happens there.
I completely agree with you. There's only 2 games in the 1 o'clock hour I want to talk about, though. First one, Tampa Bay Buccaneers headed to the Houston Texans. I want to talk about this football game because I want to make a bold prediction. I think Houston blows them out. I don't think it's close. I think Houston comes off that ugly loss at Carolina, giving Carolina their first win. Mm-hmm. And I think they come home and DeMeco Ryans and them boys absolutely beat up Baker Mayfield. I think that Baker's going to wish he never got on that plane to Houston. I think Tampa Bay gets annihilated. I think it's the blowout of the week. Give me the Texans.
I like the Texans too. I probably wouldn't have picked a blowout necessarily, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by it because I do like what's going on in Houston. I'll take the Texans probably a little closer than you have it, though.
31-9.
Yeah, I wouldn't go. Yeah, I wouldn't pick a score like that, but I do agree with the Texans winning that game.
Love the Texans this week.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's basically a pick 'em. I mean, you get 3 points for being the home team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the Texans can't run the ball. Right? So, I mean, if you could get after the quarterback, I mean, the Panthers, they came out, played them tough, man. I don't think Baker's what everybody thought he was. I mean, who was ever fooled by that? I mean, I would take the Texans too if I had to bet this game, but I think it's going to be a close one.
Okay. I don't. We'll see. We can have a fun bet. I'll give you 10 points. All right. Game of the 1 o'clock hour. Seattle Seahawks traveling across the country to go against the hot Baltimore Ravens. 6-2 Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson led Baltimore Ravens. Gino or Lamar? Kyle, who you got?
I'm liking the Seahawks in this one. What? Maybe part of me, because some people think I'm a bit of a Ravens hater, bit of a Lamar hater. Maybe that's seeping in. I just have a feeling, you don't usually like to pick West Coast teams going east, but I feel like you got Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Walker, Charbonnet in the running game. You got Wagner defensively. They just got Leonard Williams, the trade deadline. I feel like they're going to be good enough to slow down Baltimore. Baltimore still just wants to run the ball. I don't care about the couple of games where Lamar's throwing it around. They still want to run the ball, get Mark Andrews over the middle. I just got a feeling that the Seahawks find a way to get it done.
Styles make fights. D. Godfrey, who you like in this one?
I like the Ravens. I mean, listen, if the Ravens can't, they're not a top team if they can't win this game, right? I mean, I look at the game last week.
6-2.
Right. They're both 5-2.
Seahawks are 5-2.
Yeah. So listen, I think if Lamar and the Ravens come out and assert their dominance at home, which they should, listen, I think the Seahawks are playing a little bit above their head. The Browns had them beat by all rights. Kevin Stefanski's like, you know what? Let's call a pass over the middle. What an idiot. Hope you're listening, Cottrell. Tell him he's an idiot. And it bounces off Jamal Adams' helmet, and they get a lucky bounce, get the ball, and then they give up a touchdown to Njigba. I'm like, what are they doing? So I feel like they did win. They deserved to win, but the Browns gave that game away. And they were about to win a third game with P.J. Walker, which is like stealing money. And I just think the Ravens, man, stacked up player for player, offense versus defense, they're a more talented team overall than the Seahawks. At home, if they get beat by the Seahawks, they should be like, wow, we're 6-3, but we don't feel like we're 6-3 if they lose that game. They should no way in hell lose that game to the Seahawks at home. They shouldn't.
Styles make fights. What's up, Jory? I said this earlier. What does Baltimore want to do? They want to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stop the run? You stack the box. What is the defense? What does an offense need to do when you stack the box? Try to throw over the top.
Yep.
Seattle's cornerbacks match up perfectly with Reek Woolen, with Devin Witherspoon. They match up perfectly against Baltimore. You want to talk about the Mark Andrews stopper? His name's Jamal Adams. It's a perfect matchup for them. If I'm Seattle, I'm playing cover 0 all day. I'm literally playing man up on your wide receivers, and I'm stopping the run.
Yeah, well, they got Leonard Williams now, so that's going to help a lot. And that's a trade acquisition that we didn't talk about. And I think it was a great move.
I love Seattle in this game.
I hear you on that, but let's not discount Baltimore's, defense against the Seahawks offense. I just think
only way Seattle loses this game is Geno Smith turns the ball over multiple times.
That's possible.
It is possible. But I'm Pete Carroll. I'm saying, man, don't turn the ball over.
I think the difference in this game is going to be a special teams play from one of the other teams. I think that's the difference.
Okay. I like Seattle in this one. I'll take plus the 5.5, but I'm taking a money line too. I think they win the football game. I'll do the old Godfrey bet. I'll take them plus 5.5. I'll also take a money line. Give me the Seahawks, man.
It's a tasty money line.
It's tasty.
It's a tasty money line. I mean, I don't hate that bet. I don't hate that bet plus points, but I think the Ravens win this. I don't know if they cover the spread, but I think they win it.
No good games in the 4 o'clock hour except one. Got one to talk about. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. It's Cowboys week.
But you don't want Raiders Giants?
No.
Yeah, ain't no
Not
comment.
pre-gaming it. Not worth it.
Woo!
Kyle, who you got this one?
I'm
Cowboys.
not- I like the Eagles. Look, we kind of went through this song and dance when the Cowboys went up against the Niners. They made it out to be this big deal. They no-showed it. Now you figure they'll show up a little better in this one because it's a divisional opponent, but I just can't trust Dallas to win a big game right now. I know a lot of people have questioned Philly and how they've looked. They're 7-1. So I mean, they're finding ways to win. They're playing well enough. And I could argue that they're slowly getting better. And I think we just see another win from the Eagles this week, and we get more excuses from Dallas. More Cowboys fans crying or whatever. And I just think that's what it is right now.
What do you think the score prediction is? Can you give me one?
I'll go Eagles. Let's go 26-16.
10-point win. Godfrey, give him your score prediction.
I'm gonna go Eagles 31-17. I think the way it's gonna be anti-instinctual the way we as Eagles fans usually want this to happen. If you can't tell I'm an Eagles fan by the hat. I think the way you take this team out is you come out aggressive on offense, get up by 10, 14 points, and they're done. And I look at a 31-17 game for the Eagles. I think it could be pretty dominant. I think you don't play around. Let's see you shut down A.J. Brown. Let's ride the hot hand. Let's see what happens. I think A.J. Brown can eat them alive. I think Dallas Goedert can eat them alive. And, that's what you got to do. 31-17 Eagles. I think they're going to cover. I think this is a statement game for the Eagles. This is like, hey, we own this division. We own this conference. It's ripe for the taking right now. And the good teams take advantage of the opportunity when they present itself. So let's see. It's put up or shut up time right now.
I think it's an ugly football game. I hate this football game for Philadelphia. Bye weeks next week. I know they're not looking past the Cowboys to get to the bye week. I understand that. It's just they're beat up. Lane Johnson's hobbled around. Jalen Carter's hobbled around. Jalen Hurts is hobbled around. They are beat up. This Eagles team is fighting to get to the bye week. It's a bad week for them. I think the way the Philadelphia Eagles win this football game is if Tyron Smith doesn't play. If Tyron Smith doesn't play, left tackle for them, I think Josh Sweat gets after the quarterback. I think Jalen Carter, I think the Eagles defense gets after Dak Prescott. I think they slow down the Cowboys offense. And I'll tell you right now, this is my prediction. Said it on Birds Deep. I'll say it now. I think this is the week. We're already seeing him come into his own. I think this is the week when Kobe Dean steps in front of a pass and takes it to the house. I think the Eagles win this football game 16-15.
Okay.
Ugly football game. I think the Eagles offense is going to have a huge time, a very tough time moving the ball versus Cowboys defense. Dan Quinn always gives this Eagles offense problems. I think that they'll start slow. I think it'll look really ugly. I think the Cowboys will have the lead for the majority of the football game. I think it might even be like at one point, I think the game might be like 12-3.
We didn't get a Jalen versus Dak game last year because they were both injured at one point, right? This is the first one we're getting. So it was Minshew versus Dak, or it was
Jalen versus Cooper.
Jalen versus Cooper. So this is
8-3 versus the Philadelphia Eagles. That's his record. 8-3.
Seems to play better against us.
He does. I think the Eagles find a way to pull. I think the winning culture finds a way to find a win, and I think the Kobe Dean pick six. This will be known as the Kobe Dean game. Give me the Eagles 16, Cowboys 15. 2 more games on the docket. 2 more. Sunday night football. You have the DeMar Hamlin game. Buffalo at Cincinnati. We're running it back. We're running it back on prime time. Who do you like in this one? Buffalo at Cincinnati. Burrow's been on a roll.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals have looked great recently. They just ran through the 49ers. I'll go first on this one. The Buffalo Bills are the most overrated team in football. People talk about the most important players on the Buffalo Bills, and they start with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Look, you want to say Stephon Diggs is number 2, 3, or 4? That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. But people forget that the 2 of the 4 most important players on the Buffalo Bills are Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White, and they're both out for the season. I think Buffalo's defense has looked suspect since that game at Jacksonville and London. I think their offense is prone to make turnovers, to have issues. There's good Josh and there's bad Josh. I love the Bengals in this game.
Yeah, I like the Bengals too. I mean, you weren't on the show last week, but me and Kyle were talking about it, and I was dead nuts on saying, how in the world were we getting the Bengals at +4? By the time the line closed, I was getting the Bengals at +5.5. I was all over that. Took the money line, took the spread. Joe Burrow was coming out of the bye. I'm looking at that team, and I'm like, how is this possible? And the public just still believes this crap about the 49ers. And guess what? You got what you got, and they covered the spread by a mile. They were the underdog. So I think the Bengals are rolling right now, and I think that the Bills aren't. I think, you got Josh Allen, but he can't play defense. He's going to make mistakes, and that's part of the the good and the bad with him, the yin and yang with Josh Allen. And I think the Bengals are doing what they do. They love to start out slow. This time it's because of the calf injury, and now they're like, "Yo, we're here, we're back. I know you thought we were done. We're not. We're not the Bungles. We're the Bengals. Let's go." So I'm going with Cincinnati. I mean, last week they were firing on all cylinders. Run, pass. Jamar Chase was there. T. Higgins was getting the rock. Tyler Boyd was getting the rock. I was watching a ton of that game because I had money interest in it too, and I had it pegged from the door. They were going to beat the Niners, beat them easily, and their defense played good too. I mean, let's. The only person that really got off, they have a penchant to let, tight ends have some production, but you're not going to win a game that way. So there's no way that Dalton Kincaid's going to march them to victory. So I definitely see. I think there'll be some points in this game, but I think the Bengals are going to take it.
I love me some Dalton Kincaid. Thank you for giving his name some reference on this show. He's looked better and better every single week. Dalton Kincaid is the real deal. I think he's now surpassed Gabe Davis's option 2 over there.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Makes sense. But I'm right there with you too. I'm taking the Bengals in this one. A lot of teams you might worry about after a win against the Niners, letting down or whatever. I don't have that fear because you got Joe Burrow, and that guy is just something special. And Godfrey, you bring up a good point. The fact that they got Mixon going last week can only pay dividends for Cincinnati. That's always been my knock against them, is that, yes, they're so talented in the passing game, but Mixon can make it so much easier on that passing game, and we saw that last week. I think Buffalo's in for some big trouble Sunday night.
I agree with you.
They don't have the defense to cover the offensive talent.
I agree with you. They just put another cornerback on IR for the year. Buffalo did. They're really in trouble. I just don't understand. I get the love affair for Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. He's super talented. He makes great plays. I look at these 2 football teams, and I don't know where Buffalo's better. Defensive line's the only place on the field. I think Buffalo has a distinct advantage over Cincinnati. That's it.
Yeah.
They're not better at wide receiver. They're not better at running back. They're not better at quarterback. They're not better at linebacker without Milano.
Right.
They're definitely not better at secondary right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're on what? Cornerback 3 and 4? Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati. By the way, something needs to be said about the fact that Cincinnati absolutely embarrassed them last year in Buffalo in a playoff game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just an opinion.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football. If we didn't talk about this game last week, it is the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life. The New York Jets played the New York Giants. In this football game, the New York Giants starting quarterback Tyrod Taylor got hurt. The Giants had negative 8 yards passing for the football game. Yet we're up 10-7 with the football. What happened? Giants fans were celebrating in my DMs. We're on a winning streak. They would call the game over. The power index gave them a 99% chance of winning the football game. Zach Wilson gets the ball back. Can't move the ball the whole half.
Mm-hmm.
Gets the ball back. Throws a 25-yard pass with defensive offsides, which stops the clock. They had no timeouts left. It stops the clock. They might have had one Hail Mary left in them or a 60-yard field goal attempt by the time they got to the line of scrimmage. Then they get another 25-yard pass to kick a game-tying field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't have been laughing harder. Dude, people say Jet's going to jet. Giants going to Giant.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
I remember stepping away from it when when I thought the Giants had it. And I came back
I do have to call it. I do have to call it.
Crazy. Go ahead, Godfrey.
I got to call it the Jets fans, though. All I heard all week is he shouldn't be on vacation. How dare he be on vacation? He should be studying, like about Zach Wilson. Jets fans are on this dude, not letting him live his life. He won you a game. You're 4-3 with Zach Wilson. Shut up. Take it. You're playing with house money.
I mean, he won the football game.
Well, he had to make the drive. He didn't lose him the game. I mean, that's all you can really ask from at this point.
I think the Giants – was that Thibodeau who jumped off sides? Who jumped off sides?
They're a bad team.
I just don't understand. You jump off sides and you give them a free play when they have no timeouts. What are you thinking? I don't care if you start a second late.
Yeah.
The theme song for the Jets should be "Living on a Prayer," because they are straight up living on a prayer. I can't believe they're 4-3, but hey, more power to them. The Giants fans are a bad team. I mean, Giants fans. The Giants are a bad team. I mean, that's what bad teams do. They blow wins. I mean, consistently, right? And like that was one where you could have won it. And you let Zach Wilson. I mean, he drove him down the field, right? I mean, not for a touchdown, but he got him in the position to win.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just can't.
Bad pass interference, So I don't know.
I'm so floored that game happened. But they're playing Monday night versus another team that doesn't like to win football games. Yeah. The Los Angeles Chargers are going into MetLife, the scene of the crime, Monday Night Football. This was scheduled to be Rodgers versus Herbert. It's not. It's not anymore. It is Herbert versus Zach Wilson, and the game is in MetLife on Monday Night Football. Who do you like in this one? I mean, it's hard for you not to pick the Chargers, but I'm going to pick the Jets. I think the defense shuts them down. I think they figure out a way. There's some been magical moments at MetLife right now for this Jets team, right? You talk about living on a prayer. They had a magical moment, beat the Philadelphia Eagles in MetLife. They had a magical moment, beat the Buffalo Bills in MetLife. They had a magical moment, beat the New York Giants in MetLife. I don't know, man. I'm going to go with the Jets. I look at this. One team finds ways to win games, and the other team finds ways to lose games. I don't have any faith in Brandon Staley. I don't have any faith in this Chargers team. Give me the Jets. I'll take the Jets.
I'll go with the Chargers. I'm gonna do this to myself again because I feel like the Chargers with me are like where the Broncos were last week, where I'm like, I got one more pick in me, and then I'm done with them. The Chargers are just too talented, right? If you look at it on paper, there's just too much talent on that side on their side to not be able. Yes, I get the Jets have a good defense and everything, but offensively, the Jets, you usually have to score like 20, 21, and you probably win the game. If you're telling me that this Chargers team can't manage to make that happen, then we need to have a serious talk about Staley getting the McDaniels treatment and getting the boot. I got to go with the Chargers on this one. For not even really any good reason other than they need to win this one.
I mean, I hate that I even have to. Brandon Staley I just don't even know. It's so ugly. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Jets too. Give me the plus 3.5 and the plus 148. Do the Godfrey bet, all right, and bet the money line and the points separately. Give yourself some assurance there, and it's gonna be if the Chargers win, it's got to be close because I just don't have any faith. Like it just seems like they just can't get it right, and you can pass on these Chargers. I mean, I don't know, man. I have more faith in Robert Saleh to rally the troops than I do in Brandon Staley. I'm picking it based off head coaches.
That's a good point.
In the words of Julian Frankenstein and Big Daddy, give me the goddamn Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's all we got today. Sideline to sideline is firing on all cylinders. The big three of me, Kyle, and the Godfrey. I don't mean to make a big three reference either. Big three is firing. That's Kyle's show. But big three reference on Tuesday nights if you didn't check us out. Birds Deep Thursday nights before Sideline to sideline.
Did anyone?
Chiefs Monday night. I feel like we're firing. Wire to wire Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
We're firing on all cylinders here, boys. I appreciate everybody's in the comments tonight, in the chat, people that liked us, shared us. Let's go watch some ugly football. Godfrey, any final comments?
Yeah. I'd just like to acknowledge everybody out there that listens to the show that the Seahawks are in first place. The Niners have lost 3 in a row. And the real Brock Purdy has stood up. And now you got Kyle Shanahan with the itch thinking about playing Steve Young. And you might see Sam Darnold again if they come back and lose off that bye. Because the Chase Young trade was less about the defense and more about the offense. Putting them in position in a short field, hopefully generating turnovers so they could score the ball. Because what you have seen, I'm going to give you a stat. We talked about it. When the Niners are down by 8 points under Kyle Shanahan, they're 0-37 in the fourth quarter. 8 points in the fourth quarter. They're 0-37. All right, good. Yeah, so you bet you're making turnovers and you're not getting turnovers. So just Niners fans, realize Brock Purdy, he's not the second coming of Joe Montana, and you weren't going to win last year. That's what I got.
Any final thoughts, Kyle?
No, another great show with you guys. Chargers, don't let me down. This is the last time you'll hear me pick you if you lose, and go Patriots. That's all I could hang my hat on.
I'll close it out with my same game parlay of the night, and I'll give it to you quick. We got about 30 seconds before we got to wrap, before we got to close the show out. I got the Steelers money line, Deontay Johnson 4 receptions, Deontay Johnson 50 yards, and an anytime touchdown by the Steelers defense. $50 to win $800. Let's get it. I'm the NFL Genius Gene Walzak. That's the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. And that's T. Godfrey. And this is Sideline to Sideline. We are signing out.